Welcome into Scoop and Score. My name's Tanner. Today I'm going to be breaking down number 4 TCU at number 18 Texas. This game is Saturday, November the 12th at 7:30 Eastern on ABC. And before we get into the game, if you could do me a favor and like the video and subscribe to the channel, those both help me out a lot, especially as a new channel trying to get a community growing here. But anyway, that's enough of me shilling. Let's go ahead and get into this one, starting with the TCU offense against the Texas defense. And TCU comes into this game with one of the most elite offenses in the country. They're number 4 in total offense, number 3 in scoring offense, and they're also top 20 in both passing and rushing offense. So per play, TCU comes into this game averaging 5.92 yards per carry, 9.1 yards per pass attempt, and 7.28 yards per play. Texas defense allows 77.1% of opponent rush averages, 100% of opponent pass averages, and 91.2% of opponent total averages. Texas is, I wouldn't call them a good or great defense by any stretch of the imagination, but they're solid. Their pass defense is definitely their worst. Their secondary is not great, but they're solid against. They're better than solid. They're definitely good against the run. So I think TCU, that's going to be one of the keys to this game, is if TCU can use the run to set up their elite pass game. And I think they will be able to, just not to the degree that they have been for the whole rest of the season. I think Texas is probably the best defense that TCU has faced up into this point. So let's get into some players to watch for TCU. First, I got Max Duggan, or Dugan. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, let me know in the comments, because I've heard both. I'm going with Duggan. The one person I know named Dugan spelled it with one G, so it's possible either way. So if you know the answer to that one, let me know in the comments. Anyway, Max Duggan is one of the most slept on quarterbacks in the whole country. If TCU wins this game and goes to the playoff, again, CJ Stroud is going to be a hard to beat for the Heisman. I think it's his to lose, but again, if TCU wins this game, I think Max Duggan is certainly going to be in New York, and he's going to be in the conversation for sure. The next player to watch for TCU is going to be Kendre Miller, and he's another player that's slept on, in my opinion. He's averaging 6.6 yards per carry, which I don't know where that puts him in terms of yards per carry in the country, but 6.6 yards per carry is good by any standard. 6.6 yards per carry is solid. He's only got 12 touchdowns on the year, so he doesn't quite have the numbers to be in Heisman contention, but definitely one of them. I've never heard Kendre Miller's name in any running back conversation outside of TCU fans. So the next player to watch for TCU is probably their most recognized player, is going to be Quentin Johnston, wide receiver. He's 6'4", 215. I don't know his exact speed, but I want to say he's probably right around. I don't think he's quite 4.3 fast. He probably runs right around a 4.4. So he's certainly a mismatch for anyone. There's not too many guys that can guard 6'4", 215. Just throw it up there, and he's going to go get it. So let's go ahead and switch sides of the ball here. Let's talk about the Texas offense against the TCU defense here a little bit. And where TCU is the lead on offense, they are the opposite of that on defense. I don't think they're the worst defense in the country by any stretch of the imagination, but in terms of title contenders or playoff teams, they're right up there. They're not a good defense. So let's get into the per play statistics here a little bit. Texas comes into this game averaging 5.24 yards per carry, 8.25 yards per pass attempt, and 6.67 yards per play. And the TCU defense comes into this game allowing 96.3% of opponent rush averages, 103.5% of opponent pass averages, and 99.2% of opponent total averages, which all of those are bad numbers. There's not any facet of TCU's defense that they can use to lean on. They can shut down this part of Texas's pass offense, or this part of Texas's offense. They might be able to shut some defenses might be able to shut down the run, or they're better against the pass. TCU's bad against both. So Texas, at least statistically, should be able to do about anything they want to in this game offensively. So let's talk about some players to watch for Texas. First is going to be Quinn Ewers. Typically, Texas plays about how Quinn Ewers has played. In the few games that they've lost, obviously he got hurt against Bama, so you can't put that one on him. I guess he was, I forgot. I guess he was hurt against Texas Tech too, so you can't put that loss on him either. But The Oklahoma State loss, I don't want to blame one player. That's kind of not how football works, but he did not play well in the Oklahoma State loss, and he's at least one of the reasons they lost to that game. So if Quinn Ewers plays well, Texas tends to play well, so he's kind of one of the keys to the game, in my opinion, in this one. So he's definitely a player to keep an eye on. The next player to keep an eye on for Texas is Bijan Robinson, still one of the most explosive running backs in the nation. He's kind of lost a little bit of his luster from last year. Not in my opinion. He's just not in the Heisman consideration. Most people bring up Blake Corum before they bring up Bijan Robinson in terms of best running back in the country. I don't know if that's necessarily right. I think Bijan's probably the most talented back in the country, and like I said, definitely one of the most explosive backs in the country. And then my last player to watch for Texas is Xavier Worthy. I think he's probably Texas's most deadly weapon. He's one of their most explosive players. In my opinion, Texas plays better when Xavier Worthy touches the ball about 15 times a game, whether that be through jet sweeps, handing the ball off to him, or getting the ball to him in the pass game. But I think he's definitely Texas's most explosive and most dangerous player. So let's get into the Vegas line and then get into the model here. So Vegas has this game at Texas has a 7.5 point favorite. So Texas minus 7.5, and then the over under is 65. And then ESPN's FPI, I thought this was interesting. FPI has Texas as a 73% chance to win and TCU at a 27% chance to win. And I thought that number was kind of interesting because those percentages kind of tell me FPI doesn't give you a spread, but you can kind of tell on the percent chance to win and base that off other games. And that 73% chance to win to me tells me that FPI has this game right around a 10 to 12 point spread, so a little bit bigger of a line or bigger spread than Vegas expects, which I thought was interesting because TCU is obviously the higher ranked team, and a lot of people wrote Texas off or still write Texas off because they have the 3 losses, but obviously Vegas thinks Texas is still a good team. I've been trying to say this to people, and my model has had Texas in the top 10 all season, and so there's a reason for it, even with the losses. Now, obviously, in a ranking or playoff style ranking, you have to respect teams that don't lose. But in terms of an odds making or projecting a game, there's a reason Texas is favored. But let's go ahead and get into my model here. My model actually has TCU winning this game 37 to 34. It has TCU gaining 450 total yards at 4.6 yards per carry, 8.5 yards per pass attempt, and 6.6 yards per play overall. It has Texas gaining right around the same numbers at 443 total yards at 3.8 yards per carry, 6.8 yards per attempt, and 4.9 yards per play, and scoring 34 points, obviously. And I thought that was interesting. The model thinks that TCU is actually going to move the ball more effectively than Texas, both on the ground and through the air, and obviously overall. And that leads me into my personal predictions here. I have Texas winning this game, and I have it right around the Vegas number personally. I have this game at Texas 38, TCU 31, and my model is a little bit higher than most, having TCU at number 5. Most people have them 10 to 12 range in terms of like a power rating. But I don't want to tweak my model. It's been good all year. I just think TCU is a little bit overrated, and if I was going to tweak the model, I would do something to bring TCU down just a little bit. I think they are probably right around that 10 range in terms of just statistically best teams in the country, pure power rating. And I do think Texas is just the slightly more complete team here. Having this game at home is also going to help Texas out immensely. And then TCU's defense is just, it's too shaky for me to trust them to go undefeated. And then with that being said, I think this is going to be the game that they drop. The story of this game almost writes itself. So TCU all season has had a tendency to start slow, and Texas has had a tendency to start off red hot, at least in the first half. And with that being the case, I think Texas is going to jump out pretty big in this game, possibly 3, maybe even 4 possessions. The problem with Texas is that just like last year, albeit not as bad as last year, not to the same degree, but they have this problem of getting up to massive leads and then blowing them. So I don't think any lead that Texas gets out to in this game is going to be safe for them. So I think Texas gets out to a pretty big lead. Like I said, 3, maybe even 4 possessions. And then I think TCU makes a comeback. I think Texas is going to hold on just enough late and win this game. Like I said, 38-31 is my score prediction. But with that all being said, that's going to do it for me. So I want to hear from you guys. Give me your score predictions and thoughts down in the comments below. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you could go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to the channel, those both help me out immensely. And I'm trying to get a college football community growing here where we can all talk about football and discuss football. Again, I love talking about college football. It's one of my favorite things. I'll talk about any subject. So again, give me your scores and thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Peace.